Spurs guard Tony Parker will be in the U.S. next month to have his left eye examined after he had to have an operation to remove a shard of glass following a New York City nightclub fight that involved musicians Drake and Chris Brown on June 15th. And I now bring in ESPN insider Marc Stein for the latest on this story. And Mark, what are you hearing about the extent of Parker's injury?
Well, honestly, the Spurs are a bit in the dark and understandably concerned. They're really not going to know how bad it is and what kind of recovery prognosis Parker's looking at until they can examine himself. And at this point, he's not even allowed to fly back to San Antonio so they can get a look at him. So there's a lot of apprehension. Naturally, they have a lot of questions. They want to see him for themselves. So at this point, really uncertainty reigns. But just when you listen to Parker talk about this, and how he himself said, 99% he thought his eyesight was gone. I mean, it's a pretty frightening thing, and you can understand why the Spurs are so concerned because Tony Parker is still such a huge part of their franchise. It sounds like the long-term prognosis is going to be okay. At least that's what Parker is telling us directly. But the Spurs want to know for sure, and they can't get a look at him themselves soon enough to feel better about things.
Parker's also saying that he may miss the Olympics. France's first game is against the United States on July 29th. What do you think are the chances that he'll compete in London?
Well, it's always dangerous to try to play doctor, but realistically, when you look at this and you hear how severe this injury was, to think that Parker could be back on the floor in 2-3 weeks to play in the Olympics, it just doesn't seem like it's feasible. But knowing Tony like I do, knowing how much he loves representing his country and how badly he wants to play, I'm sure he's going to try. I'm sure he's going to try to talk the Spurs and the doctors into giving him the clearance to let him go. This is really the best team that France has had for a long, long time. Outside of Spain, they're probably the strongest team in Europe. They have a chance to medal. Tony is really close with a lot of these guys, including Boris Diaw, his San Antonio teammate. So I'm sure he's going to be lobbying and begging everyone to let him play. But again, that's a month away, and after an injury like this, it's really hard to imagine how he could actually be ready for contact basketball that quickly. Certainly
a scary injury. Parker saying he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time. He's actually suing the New York City nightclub for $20 million. All right, that's ESPN insider Marc Stein with the latest on Tony Parker's eye injury. Thanks, Mark.
You got it.